Nothing is stable if you become unstable. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Your spiritual resume doesn't mean squat. The parasite has no respect for anything other than more power. Yeah. So, and that power can't be a reminiscence or a hope. It's got to be accessed now. Yes? The parasite doesn't stand down because you once were really clear or because you're going on a retreat next week. Yeah? It only stands down when there's a power greater than itself there. Yeah? And it just sort of like disappears into the latent, into the possibility. Yeah? But it can come out at any time. The situations and circumstances warrant. It'll show up. I've seen people go insane overnight, you know. So, the biggest dilemma, this is in my opinion, you know, I'm not an authority on anything, I'm just an observer of things, you know. So, my observation of recovery, being in and out of it for most of my life, is the biggest problem. You could have the greatest methodology, but the biggest problem in alcoholism is reluctance, unwillingness on the part of the quote-unquote patient. They stubbornly don't want it. And if that's the case, it doesn't matter if it's the perfect plan. It's not going to hatch anything because they're not going to sit on it. They're not going to do it. Yeah? What are you going to do? Then you take care of yourself. Then you go to Al-Anon to learn a way to sort of have boundaries so that your quote-unquote love for them doesn't facilitate a fucking incredible and bad moments for you. Yeah. You don't think the parasite will use love to fucking get its thing? Of course it does. It uses it all day. Every alcoholic who has enablers right now, that's what's happening. The innate love the person has for that is being manipulated. You know? And it's so common it's become a disease called codependency, you know, or enabling. Yeah? You know, and then of course, having the biological instinct of a mother or a father, man, an alcoholic, an addict can play that tune, get away with freaking murder. Yeah? When I had that happen with me, you know, I really just want someone to put their foot up my ass, really. But everyone who played my game, I lost total respect for. I needed someone to say, stop the shit, motherfucker, whatever, you know. And until that happened, and then, you know, when people didn't play the game, they were the greatest servants in that event for me. Yeah, and some of us, we need to learn how to do it, and that happens through joining a group has been in mortal combat with alcoholics and addicts. They've learned to sort of how to deal with that situation so that they stay somewhat whole, and that they don't get get sucked up into the vortex. Yeah. So there's a lot, you know, that's on a lot of levels. What we're talking about is another level. But you've got to honor the level of consequences. You've got to be able to recognize if your house is on fire, so you don't start searching for a philosophy, you start searching for a pail of water. It's much more appropriate. This whole thing of mixing and missing, if it's stored here and collected as if it's yours, it's not going to do any fucking good. It's going to be used to blind you to the need to get a pail of water. I've had people call me, it takes them 20 minutes to start breaking down and crying because they have all this Advaita in them. You know, like there shouldn't be anyone, so if there wasn't anyone, there shouldn't be anyone crying. Instead of just letting the freaking emotion out, and you're sitting there waiting for them to get there, and they get there, and then there's the breakdown, and there's the relief, not the 19 minutes before. You know, you're never where you seem to be. So deal with it that way. It doesn't leave a tattoo on you. You're not a bad non-dualist or whatever, you know what I mean? You haven't had a non-dual slip back into selfing. None of that is true. There's nobody there. There's only seeming conditions. Recognize the conditions, have some wisdom about them, and then deal with them appropriately. Yeah? This isn't a panacea for things that come up during our lives. It will allow you to travel lighter through all of your life, But there are sometimes different things are called on. Like get a freaking massage, or go to acupuncture or something. Like if I have energy that's running very strongly out the body, you know, in this, and it's causing like a sense of, hey, a sense of leaving here like every day, and it's making sort of life hard to function in because, you know, there's like this thing. Reading a book on non-duality won't help. Maybe go to an acupuncturist and having them, or take some herbs to have the energy that's wanting to go out of the head, let it go down a little bit. Yeah, you know, that's the appropriate answer at the time. It's nice to know what you need when you need it. Yeah, instead of thinking this, no more needs. Yeah, it's baloney. People think they're gonna get, this is gonna get them out of alcoholism. You don't have alcoholism. The body, brain has alcoholism. Yeah? The mentation, the mind moving through the brain, in a way, in that moving through the brain, it's picked up a parasite called alcoholism. Yeah? And you've got to deal with it that way. You can't deal with it as if, oh, if there is, it's only me that had it, and if there is no me, I don't have it. It produced a sense of a me. Yeah? Alcohol, there isn't a me that has alcoholism. Alcoholism has the me it's producing. Yeah? It's alcoholism jumps on what is being produced by the addiction to self. Yeah? That's where it finds expression. When a mind is identified as self, alcoholism sees that as a perfect host. And it moves through there, and now it amplifies that self-centeredness to an extreme, and then paints with a really broad stroke. You're going doing drugs and alcohol, and you're like a tornado in people's lives. It's a really flamboyant, parasitical expression. Yeah? But it has to piggyback on the identification of self. Yeah? It doesn't get, it can't take hold unless that's in place. Yeah? So the real freedom from alcoholism is actually freedom from the bondage of self. Yeah? Then what happens is, could happen, this is what happened with me, I haven't thought about drinking and using after like the first week I got sober. Yeah? The problem that had the biggest influence in my life, let's say the influence that had the biggest expression in my life since I was 11, 12 years old, suddenly became a very minor player to the point where it doesn't even exist anymore. That's a fucking great solution. Yeah? But I find that solution doesn't rest with I dealt with alcoholism. It came from a byproduct from realizing I'm not the self that the alcoholism is expressing itself through, that idea of being a self. Yeah? Because you really want to get out of the alcoholic self, I'm telling you. There's an incessant drive to get out. You want to escape. Yeah? You want to get loaded. It's powerful. Yeah? Life seems freaking unbearable, and a day seems like an eternity. Yeah? And you just cannot sit. You cannot sit still without flipping out. You want to get something to change how you feel. Yeah? So I find, like in Elkin at AA, a lot of people in recovery and stuff. They were hoping that some of the effects of alcoholism would leave, but a lot of them aren't effects of alcoholism, they're effects of identification as self. So it's tricky. You see this thing, I'm going to riff a little on this because I think you'll get something out. There's a statement in AA, the first step of recovery, which is we're powerless over alcohol and our lives have become unmanageable. Pretty clear statement, yeah? We're powerless over alcohol and our lives have become unmanageable. Now, the way it's worded, it sounds like the alcohol, the drinking, caused my life to become unmanageable. That's not how I saw it. There's another statement in how it works that makes it clearer in my view. It says, you have to be convinced of three pertinent ideas, yeah? And our experiences before getting sober and after support these ideas. And the first one is, we're alcoholics and we cannot manage our own lives. That, to me, fits better than the first statement. Because the first statement looks like it's cause and effect. Like if I would just stop drinking, then my life wouldn't be unmanageable. I didn't find that to be true. But the second statement is real much clearer. My alcoholic, yeah? And because of that alcoholism, my life's unmanageable. Why? Because I'm trying to manage it. That's the dilemma, really. I'm trying to manage it. The managing it is making it unmanageable. Yeah, that's the one that was escaping me for a long time. Yeah. I thought if I only could manage better, things would work out. Yeah, it's a very big idea most people have in their heads. Yeah. Even if they see the managing hasn't worked, they just think if I could only manage better, it would work. Just like people, they're at a thing and they said they were told that if they stood for like 16 minutes, something like this, like a Qigong thing, then something would happen, yeah? And so they were at this talk I was doing, and the guy was telling me, well, why? I did it for 16 minutes. What should I have done? Nothing happened. I said, well, you should have stood for 17 minutes. See, that's how it usually goes. If you just do more, then you'll hit a certain level more, and then the managing will work, yeah? So it's not like it's a failed system, it's just failing now. Yes. Yeah? If I keep exerting, it's going to finally work, yeah? Well, that's a delusion. Because that's the primary disease, is the addiction to the idea of being a self, and one of the main ideas of being a self is you're the doer, yeah? You're not giving yourself a fucking break at all. You're looking from that judgment eye. Yeah. You may think, oh, you'll let everyone else be forgiven, but you haven't forgiven yourself. You're on the hook for many, many fucking things that you believe you did or you didn't do. Yeah? Like Ramana Maharshi says it in a beautiful statement, and it describes the alcoholic. He says, a person with a mind like that may not want to go for knowledge. They should go for surrender. So that if you have that sense of being the doer, you better go to the idea of surrendering to a higher power and realizing thy will be done. Yeah? The idea of inquiring and all like this may not be suitable for you in that condition, because it'll be the sense of you're doing the inquiring. Yeah? The doing is too strong, so surrender would maybe be the better way to go. Yeah, it's beautiful. When I read it when I was young in AA, I highlighted it and I brought it to a lot of AA groups. It's right in the beginning of all the collected talks of Ramana Maharshi, page 30-something. It's a beautiful thing, because he's diagnosing people on levels. Yeah? He's not giving us one size fits all. He's realizing, hey, your mental inclination is you're really rooted in being the doer. You better go to the surrender route. An incessant narration that you're either something that you don't want to be, or you're not something you want to be. Just like these talks. The biggest impediment, like it says in the whole Course in Miracles, they talk about this thing, the holy instant, which is just the present moment, yes? The vibrating, alive presence of this moment, yeah? And it says the biggest impediment for someone to entertain the holy instant is that they don't believe they deserve it. They believe they must prepare themselves for it. They must do some work to be worthy of what's freely freaking given. It would be easy if you had to overcome an outside mountain, but you're overcoming minor molehills that have been made mountains inside. Yeah. It's insane. You've been judged to the point where you're in a state of withholding here. You're holding on to old ideas, which is not allowing you to embrace the emptiness. Yeah? And then in this situation, then the emptiness becomes another freaking old idea. It's not a living, tactile, sense-felt event. It becomes another concept that's part of the withholding. You know, you're withholding now from this moment because you don't think it's the moment. Or, I haven't got it yet. Or some freaking insane old idea. In AA, they say, the results will be nil unless you let go of all your old ideas. Trace back your ideas to the oldest one. The oldest one is that you're a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. That's the oldest idea you've had. that idea has now claimed to have all the other ideas. And it's totally willing to let go of some of the other old ideas to protect the oldest idea of all. Yeah. It's a very extreme statement. The result will be nil, zippo, zero, unless you let go of all your old ideas. Well, you know what? You know how you let go of all your old ideas? Let go of the one idea that claims to have all the other ideas. Let go. That's the linchpin, yeah? All the other ideas are being made into a necklace by that one string coming from the oldest idea. You want the necklace to fall off without even touching it? Just tug that one part. Take out the one linchpin, and then the whole necklace can't be a necklace. Yeah? You don't have to go over each old idea. It'll still, all of them letting go of those old ideas by the oldest idea is reinforcing the oldest idea. Yeah? The result's nil. Result is nil. What? Yes.